Hey guys, this is Kirin 15 back at it with another video for you guys, and I'm back with another fairy tale 100 year quest manga chapter review for you guys. And yes, now typically I know the chapter came out like late last night. I read the chapter. If you're wondering why I didn't upload it freaking early in the morning, because I wanted to enjoy my morning for a bit before I had to go out and do what I had to do today, and then obviously I'm here recording my video right now. But interesting chapter. So we get the fight between Laxus and Kirin, as well as seemingly like we're getting the start to well, what I figured that this fight was going to happen. I'm like, we're going to get this fight, the fight of the two small characters in the group of each party, and that's seemingly like it's going to be Wendy versus Haku. So yeah, let's get to this week's episode. We find out Kirin's element power and stuff like that, and we see how he does against Laxus. So anyways, let's get to the obviously the video, the chapter. So it's Fairy Tale 100 Year Quest chapter I forgot what chapter it is. I'm just 96, titled Lightning and Atmosphere. The cover page is of Laxus in a suit that would make formerly called Super Mecha Frieza Jamie probably just, if you check out her reactions to Fairy Tail, and you know she simps over Laxus like crazy. I just love her Fairy Tail reactions. It's essentially him in a suit, and I guess he's in the capital city of Krogus because the tower behind him looks like the freaking castle and everything. So yeah, anyways, we start the chapter off with Kirin and Laxus confronting each other and stuff like that. Now obviously Scallion is telling like Kirin, like, be careful, this one's strong, you know, and stuff like that. And obviously Kirin's like, don't worry, you can count on me. Now he takes off his back literally a freaking coffin, and he's like, you know, in your size, he probably wouldn't fit in this little thing, huh? I guess I'm gonna have to cut you up. He's like, nah, that's actually kind of gross. I'm not gonna do that. Why would I cut you up? And stuff like that. And Laxus kind of makes a funny comment back. He's like, oh, please, I'm not going to be the one going in there. You're going to be one going in there. I'm like, oh, yes. Please tell that to the Rob Lucci clone. You know, kind of, I don't know, 2000 and something like that. And Kirin's like, me in my own coffin. Nobody's ever told me that. So, yeah. And he's like, you're rare. You're very much one of a kind. And all of a sudden, he kind of, I'm guessing, snaps his fingers in a way, and this little thing comes around, which is kind of signifying the air, because we find out he's an atmosphere dragon in a way. His element is the atmosphere, essentially, and it explodes on Laxus, and Laxus gets pushed back and everything. Now, Laxus can't see the attacks or anything at all, and stuff like that, and, well, Kirin's just unloading on Laxus and everything. So Laxus fires back an electric attack, but Kirin just kind of deflects it with utter ease. He doesn't even move. He just kind of uses the atmosphere to deflect it and everything. He goes on to say, I can compress and distort the atmosphere, which, interesting. I'll get to that in a second, when he means the word compress and stuff like that. So yeah, he then starts attacking Laxus again. Laxus dodges the attacks, and then Laxus goes in for a punch, but it has no effect. And Kirin's like, that means no attack I'm up against can even touch me. He hits Laxus back, and Laxus looks like he's in pretty bad shape. And I'm reading this chapter, I'm like, don't tell me this dude could just mollywop freaking Laxus like this easy. I'm like, Jesus, these dragon slaying knights are crazy strong. These dark dragon slaying knights are freaking crazy. And essentially Kirin's like, see, this is why everybody ends up in my coffin and everything. Now, obviously, the Scallion is like, I should have never doubted, you know, Lord Kirin like that. You know, it's crazy. Nothing can hurt him. But Laxus gets back up, and he goes on to make a mention like, your magic's really something, but you are full of hot air when you said attacks can't hit you. This kind of shocks Kirin a bit, and he goes on to say there's all kind of stuff like electricity can pass through. Now, Laxus tries to do electricity through the ground, but that had no effect. But that has no effect on. Well, it has an effect on Kirin, but not much of an effect. And Kirin uses this move called Atmos Distortion, and it cuts freaking Laxus up and everything and stuff like that. But all of a sudden, he uses his blood in a way, and he does his red lightning magic, which, damn, we haven't seen since he did it against Wall in the Alvarez Empire. Thank God I freaking remember that, because I recently finished my Fairy Tail arc reviews, if you guys didn't know. This shocks Kirin and everything, and obviously Laxus goes to say my red lightning cuts through the atmosphere, in a way mostly because he's using his blood alongside his lightning magic and everything, and this shocks Kirin, and Kirin gets decked in the face by Laxus to the point it looks like he actually knocked him out. And obviously Laxus uses Megaton red lightning, and Kirin takes a good shot, and Kirin at some point, at the point in the panel after he gets hit, I'm like, this man Laxus gonna knock this guy out? I'm like, there can't. And when I was reading this, I'm like, one of the Dark Dragon Slaying Knights can't be knocked out in one hit. That would be a complete joke if that was the case. I'm like, you introduce these new characters, and one of them is gonna be the one that looks the toughest out of all of them. It's gonna be knocked out in one blow. I'm like, I can't believe that. I can't. And stuff like that. But the thing is, after the attack, what is it? Kirin gets back up, and he is like, okay, I never knew Fairy Tail had a guy like you, had a guy like you in their guild. And he goes on to say, if this keeps up, you might be true, you might be right. I might actually end up in my coffin. He goes on to say, I like Laxus, not in a romantic way. He just likes him for the entertainment value purposes and everything. And he unleashes his magic power, and he's like, it seems like I'm about to get serious. Now, the interesting thing, Laxus makes a point of the fact that he's like, this magic power feels like old man Gildarts. And an earlier comment was made by Kirin, like I said earlier, he goes on to say that he can use the atmosphere to compress and distort other people's magic. And we know that Gildarts has compression magic in a way. And when I'm kind of putting two and two together, you look at Kirin, and then you look at Gildarts. Even Gildarts now, we haven't seen Gildarts since the Alvarez Empire arc, from my recollection. And the interesting thing is, well, I'm not trying to say anything, but Kirin and Gildarts, especially time after the Tardos time skip Gildarts, or after the 7-year time skip, so after the 1 year time skip, they have similar like hair, the long flowy hair, and it's like, this is pure speculation, just pure a prediction for me. Laxus he goes on to mention that his magic can compress and distort magic. Honest to God, that sounds something that, well, it sounds similar to what Gildarts can do. He can essentially cancel out and compress magic, which, honest to God, is similar to what we see Kirin can do a bit. And Laxus make the mention of the fact that his magic power feels like Gildarts. I would not be shocked if Kirin is somehow related, or some sort of related, whether he's a brother or some relative like an uncle or a maybe a father or something like that, something where he's related to Gildarts. If anything, I'm calling he might be a brother to Gildarts, which would be insane, or maybe an uncle to Gildarts, which, if that's the case, that would be insane. We'll have to find out next chapter, because after that, the chapter cuts away from that battle, and we cover the Natsu and Lucy and Happy shenanigans and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, he's got to be related, because he says his magic can compress and distort, other people's magic, similar to Gildarts' magic. Again, another hint of the fact that, well, Laxus says, like, his magic feels similar to Gildarts, or is just like Gildarts. So I'm calling it. My prediction is Kirin is Gildarts' brother. I'm calling it brother. So if that's the case, well, Kana has an uncle. has an uncle now. So yeah, and then like I said, Kirin facial structure and the hair, it looks like it's like literally a splitting image of Gildarts. So they could be twins or something like that. Now it's gonna be very damn interesting to find out, okay, how did these two get split apart and everything? Did they just go their separate ways? And stuff like that. So yeah, again, that's all I want to speak on from that point. You can put your thoughts in the comment section, what you believe, if you believe Kirin could be a relative to Gildarts. So yeah, again, like I said, I don't really need to talk much about this, but it's just kind of like the whole standpoint of Lucy, Happy, and Natsu running away from the freaking ancient dog thing in their plush forms. Lucy brings out Ares and freaking brings out Ares and Loki, and they help out. Natsu finds a little bit better way to not burn himself. They actually work together to burn the monster dog attacking them and everything, thanks to Loki and Ares and everything. So yeah, we do see that Loki can still use his Light of Regulus attacks, and even Ares can use her fluffy wool bomb attack still, and everything. So yeah, that's the thing there. And well, Natsu uses a little bit of his fire, and so he doesn't burn himself and everything. And yeah, they kind of defeated that whole thing there and stuff like that. And they all have a plan to go kick Haku's ass because that's what Natsu wants to do, so they can turn him back. You get a funny scene where, they're like, I'm gonna teach him, like, Natsu's like, I'm gonna teach him what a grown can really be, and Lucy and freaking Happy are like, wait, you're a grown-up? I'm like, well, technically you are. Like, you guys are in your early 20s, so you're early to mid 20s, so technically you're considered grown-ups, like, you could say. And so they really would be like, they would probably be in their 30s if they didn't miss out on the freaking 7-year time skip and stuff like that. So yeah, and the chapter ends with Wendy and Lily finally taking care of the monsters they were fighting, and Haku in the background saying, "It seems like I found my next prey." So my prediction that we would get Wendy versus Haku is happening, which I called it from the chapter when these characters were introduced in. I figured that we were gonna get a battle of the two little runts in the group, and stuff like that. So yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see what's gonna happen. Lily and Wendy seem like they are exhausted after taking them out. So yeah, and I'm guessing maybe Wendy has probably some sort of magic that she can use to probably counteract Haku's little, I can turn you into plush dolls. I also wonder if Irene might show up again and tell Wendy, like, here's the fact and here's how you can counter the spells he does and stuff like that. So it's gonna be a very interesting fight, I think. So again, that's kind of it, but yeah, I definitely did like this chapter, the whole lore, but really the only main talking point really is the fact that, well, Kirin has to be some sort of related to Gildarts, and if that is, well, geez Louise, that's just insane, and stuff like that. He's going up against his own brother's guild, if that's the case. And I wonder if that's the case, I wonder if he knows that Gildarts is in Fairy Tail. But the way he was talking to Laxus, he sounded like he didn't know that, because technically Gildarts is really the strongest member in all of Fairy Tail and everything. He's definitely not stronger than, well, he's probably stronger than Makarov, who seems to be on like literally his deathbed now. But in terms of wizards in the guild, he's definitely the strongest. And then I would probably I don't know where I would rank Fairy Tail characters in terms of strength. I do know Natsu's strong. I do think he's definitely up there with the likes of Urza and Laxus. I don't think he's like as strong as Gildarts. He could be getting close to that, but I still think Gildarts can put him to shame, and stuff like that. But we'll have to see if ever we get another Gildarts versus Natsu fight sometime. So yeah, but other than that, I did like this chapter. Very enjoyed. Can't wait to see what happens in chapter 97. Yeah, so if you guys like the video, leave a like, put in the comment section your thoughts on this week's episode this week's chapter of Fairy Tail 100 Year Quest, as well as hit the subscribe button if you want to get more Fairy Tail content. Again, like I said earlier in the video, I recently finished my Fairy Tail arc review, so I have an arc review of every arc in the series from Fairy Tail. And if you guys never saw any of those videos, well, I'll link the playlist at the end of the video in my outro, and you can see all the way from the start to the end of the Alvarez Empire arc. I made sure to go into detail as much as I could go into detail of what I know about the story and everything. So yeah, but I definitely finished that. I do think I took a lot of pride in that one. I definitely did enjoy my time rewatching the series and then reviewing it on a weekly basis. But yeah, that's kind of it for that. So yeah, so only expect Fairy Tail 100 Year Quest chapters. But again, like I said, if you guys never saw one of those arc reviews, please do check those out. I think you guys might like it because obviously I'm of the perspective of that I think Fairy Tail isn't as bad as everybody says it is, especially the original series. But yes, and then like I said, me and my co-host the Red Wolf, who's typically on my channel, who does other anime reviews with me, we will be doing Eden Zero reviews. I know we've only reviewed up to like episode 4 or 5. No, episode 4. We got to get back to watching that. I did see all of season 1, all the way from the start to the end, and everything, which I'm just gonna tell you, Eden Zero is freaking great and goated and stuff like that. So it's gonna be very interesting to see that whole thing. So yeah, I don't know when those reviews are gonna go up, but expect reviews for Eden Zero coming soon, because I did want to release and talk about that stuff because I love Eden Zero. So yeah, but on that, I'm gonna get out of here, guys. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you on this video. Until then, guys, peace.